Hey yo, I wrote a book, and it's selling while these fools on the internet telling on they self instead of self-promoting and excelling, missing all these gems.
Happy 20th anniversary to Cuban Linx, the album that changed my life. Let's talk about it. Today marks 20 years of a classic historical hip-hop album that was released in 1995. Raekwon's Only Built for Cuban Linx. Raekwon from the Wu-Tang Clan. Everybody that knows me knows that that's my favorite artist of all time. Of all time. He's number one on my list for a couple reasons, and I'll get into that. Today is the anniversary of Cuban Linx, a very classic album, and was one of the premier solo albums after Wu-Tang dropped the 36 Chambers album. You know what I mean? And at that point in time in hip hop, there was, Nas, Biggie, there was Mobb Deep. There was a lot of great albums coming out. This one took it to another level. Lyricism, the production from RZA was elite. The skits, a part of the album, was telling the story about striving for perfection. Even skits about, people biting lyrics and biting styles and stuff like that. It set the East Coast on fire for sure. And also the hip hop world is set it on fire as well, because in a long time since then, we haven't heard music so prolific in building with the gods, as they would say. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the 5% Nation. There was a lot of teachings in that. On top of that, it was just hard-hitting, gritty beats, you know what I mean? And it wasn't just Raekwon. He also featured his, hip-hop brother and counterpart, Ghostface Killah. This was the first time that I got a chance to actually see, not saying it wasn't done before, but this is the first time that I got a chance to see someone's album debut, but featuring someone else from the Wu-Tang camp on the album. Later on, they would do Iron Man featuring Raekwon and Capadonna and so forth, right? So what they did was they told this story together from their parts. People that know the story, Raekwon coming from one type of projects in Staten Island and Ghostface coming from another, they were beefing at one point in time. Their crews were beefing at one point in time. So to fast forward and then finally see that they're working, not just working, as the Wu-Tang Clan, but they're working together on this album that would later be deemed as one of the top 100 albums of all time. Like, what a story, what a story. On top of that, this was one of the, I still remember to this day, me going to school that day, knowing that this album was released and having my money that I asked from my mom. We would get allowance, but I needed a little bit more just to get this tape. Went to school. I think there were two of my friends that had the album, because they actually like kind of like ditched school or came to school late, but they went to buy the album early. And I was just anxious to get my copy. I didn't want to hear no songs from nobody. I didn't want to, grab somebody's Walkman and listen. I didn't want none of that. I wanted to get my own copy. So after school, left school. This is when, living in New York, with my mom and my brother. Going to the local record store and asking for that album. And I was like, yo, you got the new Raekwon tape? And they're like, okay, yeah. They're like, we got a couple more left. I'm like, let me get one. So he hands me one, but he hands me one if you know about cassette tapes and the actual casing, the case was kind of cracked. It was kind of cracked. So he was selling it for the album was $14.99, but he sold me this tape because the outside casing was just like a little bit cracked on the edges. So he sold it to me for $12.99. I'm like, cool, I'll take it, no problem. It was actually like $13 flat or whatnot. So I remember at this time I didn't have a working Walkman. Like I broke my Walkman, and I know my brother had his Walkman, but we have a dual cassette boom box at the house. You know what I mean? It's something that my mom bought, put it in the living room, and anytime she would be at work, or she's away doing something, we would blast that to the moon. My last album that I would play constantly from Wu-Tang was Old Dirty Bastard. You know what I'm saying? Return to 36 Chambers. Love that album. And love the verse from Raekwon on that album as well. So I was anxious. I was already a Raekwon fan. I'm a super Wu-Tang fan, but I'm already a Raekwon fan because, I got a chance to see him on, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was not Yo MTV Raps, but it was one of those shows where I got a chance to see them talk. And I remember watching Raekwon speak about where they're going musically, what they want to do. And I was like, I want to be that guy. I want to be that guy. He was chubby dude. He his features, you know what I'm saying? But he was talking prolific. He was still hood and slang, but it was prolific. So long story short, I get the tape. And I rush home. I'm walking fast. I'm power walking home. I'm probably about a 10-minute walk to go home from school. Power walking. And I knew that my brother was going to kind of take his time getting home or whatever. So I'm like, okay, I get to blast this music right at home. So when I get home, first thing I do, get home, put my bag down. I'll walk around the house, just a 2-bedroom apartment, walk around just to see if my mom was there. Because, sometimes you never know. She might just pop up out of her room like, hey, what you on? So I'm looking around. Okay, boom, I don't see nobody. Man, I rip open that plastic so fast, pop that tape in, and then I press play. Well, I thought I pressed play. And I actually pressed stop, but I was so into opening up the inlay to look at everything. And then after probably a minute of looking at the inlay, I realized that I didn't press play. So I was like, okay, let me go ahead and press play. And then once I pressed play, I just sat back and I listened to the album. Now, my brother came in probably about on the 4th song. He came in right when Criminology was going out. And he was like, what's that? He was like, that's the new Raekwon. I'm like, yep. He like, man, rewind it. I'm like, nah, I'm already playing. He like, man, rewind it. That's my big brother. He own me. So I rewind it all the way from the beginning, and I'm, kind of pissed, but I'm like, man, I'm here to rewind it. And we sit back and we listening to the album. My brother, his regimen is, he like to put away his clothes, get into his basketball gear, really do his thing. But I'm playing the album, and I'm amazed. If I'm not mistaken, I think my brother went to go play with his friends at the basketball court or whatnot. But long story short, I remember that day of opening that album, and I didn't realize that not only would that drive my musical creativity to want to do music, but at the same time, some of those songs were talking about different topics, like even the intro, Striving for Perfection, even Guillotine and, Heaven and Hell. Like, these are songs, that really reflect on how life was at the moment and how you need the power and get through it. You know what I mean? Verbal Intercourse with Nas, one of Nas's best verses of all time. And I remember that verse was in the source for, a hip hop quotable of the source that month. I remember that. You know what I mean? Like, it's a real thing. Wu Gambino's. I remember Wu Gambino's. Like, and I have my favorites from the album. but it was more so like this was an album that I bought myself with the money that I got from my allowance and my mom. It was something that was dear to me, so I had it in my backpack almost every day. I think I probably cracked my case billion times. And then later on, as I get older and I'm into, doing music, and at the time I started rapping and things like that, I'm realizing that an artist such as Raekwon was not just doing music just because he thought he was nice as a lyricist. It was also because he knew that he had something to offer the culture. The level of intelligence, the level of being ultimately thorough with how you approach dealing with people, dealing with your community, dealing with fam. These are things that he talked about in his music. And I'm going to be honest, I wanted to emulate a lot of the things that he was doing. Not in terms of like street life and things like that, but like really wanting to learn, expand my vocabulary, expand the things that I was learning. At one point in time, I started to learn some of the teachings of the 5%ers. Never officially became a God body, but I still wanted to know about it because these are the things that they were saying in their lyrics. You know what I mean? On top of that, it was like the fashion. Like he was talking about, a lot of different fashion, Clarks. Like they had the skit where they was talking about the Clarks. You know what I'm saying? Dipping the Clarks and making them, blue and cream. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. Like they was really trying to advance the culture in so many ways. And I picked up on that, you know what I'm saying? And that is forever. Like even in the times where, I wasn't so right with myself. I wasn't as confident. I wasn't as, upbeat as I am now. That album helped me power through a lot of my struggles. It helped me power through a lot of insecurities that I had about myself, especially like me being a chubby kid, being a fat kid, and then watching somebody who has a similar body frame as me, but he put himself together. He speaking wisdom, you know what I'm saying? And then, even all the way down to Ice Cream. Like Ice Cream was a record that, I didn't realize that at that time as a hip hop artist, aside from LL Cool J, this is somebody that's like straight gritty and gutter, still talking about the quality of women and the styles and the flavors of women. Like it was so much in that album that I could dissect. And I'm happy about this anniversary. You know what I'm saying? I've been playing the album. I played it probably like 3 times today. And I'm so proud of Raekwon and the whole Wu-Tang Clan for how far they've come and given us constant jewel after jewel after jewel in this hip hop culture. You know what I'm saying? And I want everybody to go listen to that album. If you have not, I don't care what age you are. If you have not listened to that album, go listen to the album. I might actually go live today and just do a full reaction on Only Built for Cuban Linx. You know what I'm saying? Let me know what y'all think of the album. Let me know what songs y'all think are the standout songs and what's your favorite songs. I'll just go through my favorite songs. Ice Water, Knowledge God. Come on, man. Why's my niggas always yelling that broke? Shh. Get your money, son. Now you want to smoke. Shh. Chill God. Yo, the sun don't chill a law. What's today's mathematics, son? Knowledge God. That song right there got me into like, okay, I want to know about the 5% Nation. You know what I'm saying? But he was saying so many things in that song that was just about real life. You know what I'm saying? I feel like Cuban Linx was an extension of Raekwon's verse on Cream. It's an extension of that. And it'll forever be a classic. You know what I mean? No matter how many years go by, it'll forever be a top 10, 100 album top 100 album in my book. You know what I mean? But Verbal Intercourse, Wu Gambino's, Heaven and Hell, and Rainy Days. Rainy Days. man, Rainy Days is my joint. You know what I'm saying? That's almost like Can It Be Also Simple Part 2. You know what I'm saying? So let me know what y'all think about that album. It's one of my favorite albums, if not the number one favorite album, because he's definitely my number one favorite artist. You know what I mean? And let me know what y'all think about the album. And last but not least, I gotta leave y'all with this. So, and I should have been told y'all a long time ago, but I'm telling y'all now. Local astronauts, you know what I'm saying? My production team, local astronauts, my crew, we are going to be doing a vibe jam session on the Rhyme Fest LA stage. You know what I'm saying? We're going to be local astronauts is at Rhyme Fest LA. And who's headlining Rhyme Fest LA? None other than Raekwon and Ghostface. So this is all full circle, y'all. This is all full circle. You know what I'm saying? They're headlining, Raekwon and Ghostface is headlining Rhyme Fest, and we are going to be earlier in the day. We're going to be on stage at Rhyme Fest, just previewing and bringing out some special guests and some records that people love from us and what we do. You know what I mean? So I'm definitely excited. Make sure y'all go get your tickets at www.rhymefestla.com. Go get your tickets, man, and I hope to see y'all there. So let me know what y'all think, man. This is I want to call this Cuban Linx Day. Only built for Cuban Linx Day. It got to be a national holiday now. Now it got to be a national holiday. Only built for Cuban Linx Day is today, August 1st. Let's forever remember it. 20-year anniversary. You already know what it is, man. Wu-Tang is forever. Wu-Tang is for the children. Local astronauts is for the space. Workload.